Remember when rich desserts were the ultimate symbol of luxury at upscale 1970s parties? From flambéed delights to multi-layered cakes, these indulgent treats defined the era. Curious about what made them so special? Stick around because the final dessert on our list has a surprising story you won't want to miss. 1. Baked Alaska. Do you remember the thrill of watching a baked Alaska being set aflame right at the dinner table? This 1970s dessert was a true showstopper, combining layers of cake and ice cream, all enveloped in a meringue shell. The real magic came just before serving, when the meringue was flambéed, turning a delicious dessert into a fiery spectacle. Imagine the suspense as the flames danced, only to reveal the perfectly chilled ice cream inside. It wasn't just about taste, it was about the drama and elegance that captivated dinner guests at elite parties. Rich families knew that serving baked Alaska was the perfect way to impress and entertain. But as dazzling as it was, the baked Alaska was only the beginning. The next dessert on our list kept things cool, but with a twist that'll make your mouth water. What do you think it could be? Let us know in the comments. Your guesses might just surprise you. 2. Chocolate souffle. Can you still recall the thrill of cutting into a perfectly risen chocolate souffle, only to watch it deflate gently as you took that first bite? In the 1970s, this decadent dessert became a symbol of French culinary mastery, especially among the wealthy who adored hosting extravagant dinner parties. The souffle wasn't just about its rich, airy chocolate flavor, it was a testament to the skill of the chef who crafted it. I remember watching my mother anxiously pull a souffle from the oven, hoping it hadn't collapsed. The excitement of serving it, still warm and towering, was a moment of triumph in our household. The rich, velvety chocolate inside was the reward, but the suspense leading up to that first spoonful was what truly made it special. But while the chocolate souffle may have been an indulgent treat, the next dessert had a surprise twist that added even more elegance to the table. Can you guess what it might be? 3. Tiramisu. Have you ever taken that first spoonful of tiramisu with its perfect blend of espresso, mascarpone, and a hint of liquor? In the 1970s, this Italian delicacy became a symbol of luxury, gracing the tables of the elite. Tiramisu's layers of espresso-soaked ladyfingers, rich mascarpone cheese, and dusting of cocoa were served in elegant dishes, making it a favorite at upscale gatherings. I remember my parents hosting dinner parties where tiramisu was always the star. Watching the delicate layers being revealed as it was served and seeing guests rave about the perfect balance of coffee and cream was always a highlight of the night. It felt like an exotic, indulgent treat that elevated the entire evening. But as beloved as tiramisu was, another dessert on the horizon added even more flair to the table. Can you guess which dessert managed to outshine this Italian masterpiece at the height of 1970s luxury? Let me know your guess in the comments. 4. Crepe Susette. Can you imagine the thrill of watching a dessert burst into flames right before your eyes? Crepe Susette was one of those theatrical desserts in the 1970s that made dining truly unforgettable. These thin, delicate crepes were doused in a rich orange sauce made from butter, sugar, and Grand Marnier, and then flambéed tableside, creating a fiery spectacle that left guests in awe. I still remember the first time I saw crepe Susette being prepared at a fancy restaurant. Everyone at the table leaned in, captivated by the flames. The combination of the warm, zesty orange sauce and the soft crepes was a taste of pure luxury. It wasn't just about the flavor, it was the drama and excitement of the whole experience. But crepe Susette wasn't the only dessert to dazzle guests with fire in the 1970s. There's another flambéed treat that took center stage at high society dinners. Can you guess which one? 5. Black Forest cake. Can you recall the first time you had a slice of Black Forest cake with its layers of rich chocolate, whipped cream, and cherries? This iconic German dessert became a favorite among the elite in the 1970s. Each layer of chocolate sponge was soaked in cherry liqueur, giving it a slightly boozy kick that perfectly balanced the sweetness. The tart cherries between the layers, combined with the light, fluffy whipped cream, made every bite indulgent and refreshing at the same time. I remember seeing Black Forest cake at my grandparents' anniversary dinner, the chocolate shavings glistening under the restaurant lights, cherries piled high on top. It looked like a work of art. The combination of flavors made it impossible to stop at just one slice. But there's more to come. If you thought Black Forest cake was luxurious, wait until you hear about the next dessert, which was known for its over-the-top elegance. What could it be? Leave your guess in the comments. 6. Pavlova. Do you remember the first time you tasted a pavlova with its airy meringue and fresh fruit topping? Named after the famous Russian ballerina Anna Pavlova, this elegant dessert was a must-have at high society gatherings in the 1970s. Its crisp outer shell and soft, marshmallow-like interior created a perfect balance of textures, while the vibrant mix of berries and kiwis added a burst of color and freshness. Pavlova wasn't just a dessert, it was a statement. I can still recall the delicate crackle as the meringue gave way under my fork, the whipped cream melting into the fruit. It was the perfect dessert for summer garden parties, light yet luxurious. The precision required to make the meringue, with its delicate balance of crispy and soft textures, showcased the skill of the chefs and made it a favorite among the wealthy. But if you think Pavlova was impressive, wait until you hear about the next dessert. Its preparation was even more theatrical. Any guesses what it could be? 7. Cheris Jubilee. Have you ever watched as a dessert was set aflame right before your eyes? Cheris Jubilee was the kind of dessert that turned a meal into an event, especially during the 1970s. Originally crafted by the legendary French chef Auguste Escoffier, this dish combined the simplicity of fresh cherries with the drama of a flambé. The cherries were bathed in brandy, lit on fire, and then served over a bed of cool, creamy vanilla ice cream, creating a hot and cold sensation that was nothing short of extraordinary. I remember the awe at seeing the flames flicker across the cherries, their bold flavors intensified by the heat. It wasn't just about the taste, it was the showmanship, the thrill of the flames lighting up a dimly lit dining room. Can you imagine the excitement of seeing this dessert come to life at a lavish dinner party? If you thought this was impressive, just wait until the next one. It might involve an unexpected twist. 8. Lemon meringue pie. Do you remember the first time you saw the golden peaks of a perfectly browned meringue? Lemon meringue pie was a staple at high-end dinner tables in the 1970s, offering both a visual and flavorful feast. The contrast between the tart, zesty lemon curd and the sweet, cloud-like meringue was pure perfection. Add to that a buttery, flaky crust, and you had a dessert that was as satisfying as it was elegant. I can recall the excitement of cutting into one of these pies at a family gathering, watching the layers hold their form as the meringue slowly fell back into place. It was a delicate balancing act, getting that meringue just right, soft on the inside with a perfectly browned top. Was lemon meringue pie ever a favorite at your family dinners? It's hard to beat the combination of tart and sweet, but the next dessert might just give it a run for its money. Any guesses what's coming up next? 9. Profiteroles. Can you remember the excitement of biting into a delicate profiterole and discovering its creamy filling? These little choux pastry balls were a hit in the 1970s, often seen at the most glamorous dinner parties. Whether they were filled with whipped cream, pastry cream, or even ice cream, each bite was a luxurious treat. And let's not forget the rich chocolate sauce drizzled on top, pure indulgence. I recall attending a fancy gathering where a towering plate of profiteroles was the star of the dessert table. It was impossible to resist reaching for just one more. Their French origins made them all the more special, adding an air of sophistication to any event. Were profiteroles a part of your childhood memories, or do you remember them making an appearance at high-end events? If you think this dessert was playful, just wait until we get to the next one. There's something even more whimsical up next. Any guesses? 10. Pineapple upside-down cake. Do you remember the moment when the pineapple upside-down cake was flipped, revealing its golden caramelized topping? In the 1970s, this classic dessert took on a whole new level of luxury when served at high-end gatherings. Instead of canned pineapples, fresh pineapple rings soaked in rum gave the cake an extra layer of richness, making it the perfect tropical indulgence. I recall attending a summer soiree where the pineapple upside-down cake stole the show. The rum-soaked pineapples added an unexpected twist, and the caramelized edges provided a perfect balance to the moist cake beneath. It was a dessert that felt nostalgic yet elevated, capturing the essence of mid-century fascination with tropical flavors. Did you ever have a fancy version of this retro dessert? If you think this cake was a showstopper, just wait. Our next dessert takes both flavor and presentation to a whole new level. Can you guess what it might be? Élevant, Creme Brule. Can you still hear the satisfying crack of a spoon breaking through the caramelized sugar topping of creme brulee? In the 1970s, this dessert became a symbol of sophistication, often appearing on the menus of high-end restaurants and elite dinner parties. The contrast between the velvety custard and the crispy caramelized sugar made it an irresistible indulgence. I remember the excitement of cracking the sugar top, revealing the smooth vanilla custard beneath. It wasn't just a dessert. It was an experience. Some creme brulees were infused with flavors like Grand Marnier, adding a subtle yet luxurious depth to the rich, creamy base. It was the ultimate French dessert, designed to impress and satisfy even the most discerning palates. Did you ever savor the richness of a perfectly made creme brulee? If you thought this dessert was interactive, just wait until we reveal our next treat. Another showstopper with a twist. 12. Bananas. Foster. Do you remember the thrill of seeing bananas Foster flambéed right at the table? In the 1970s, this dessert wasn't just about the taste, it was a full sensory experience. Upscale restaurants frequently showcased bananas Foster, where ripe bananas were sautéed in butter, brown sugar, and cinnamon before being flambéed with dark rum. The dramatic flames caught everyone's attention, and the rich caramelized bananas combined perfectly with cold vanilla ice cream to create an unforgettable flavor. I can still recall the smell of the cinnamon and rum, mixed with the anticipation of watching the flames dance across the pan. Bananas Foster was the kind of dessert that turned any meal into an event. It was the perfect blend of hot and cold, rich and creamy, a true luxury. Have you ever witnessed this spectacle firsthand? If you think this was an exciting show, stay tuned because our next dessert comes with its own surprising twist. Can you guess what's coming next? 13. Sachertorte. Can you imagine the decadence of biting into a rich, dense slice of Sachertorte? This Austrian chocolate cake, layered with apricot jam and coated in a glossy chocolate glaze, became a symbol of luxury in the 1970s, especially among the US elite. The contrasting flavors of dark chocolate and fruity jam created a unique depth, while a side of unsweetened whipped cream added balance to the richness of the cake. I remember hearing stories of grand dinner parties where Sachertorte was the star dessert, its European roots adding an extra touch of sophistication to the evening. Guests would marvel at the perfect shine of the glaze and the precision of each slice. It was the kind of dessert that made you feel like royalty, if only for a moment. Have you ever tried this luxurious dessert, or is it still on your list? Stick around, because the next dessert in our lineup brings a whole new level of indulgence. Can you guess what it is? 14. Trifle. Did you ever dig into a trifle at a grand dinner party, marveling at its vibrant layers? In the 1970s, this traditional English dessert reached new heights with the use of premium ingredients like imported sherry, fresh berries, and homemade custards. Imagine delicate sponge cakes soaked in sherry or liqueur, layered with rich custard, fresh fruit, and whipped cream, all displayed in a beautiful glass bowl. I remember my grandmother preparing this dessert for special family gatherings, carefully layering each component. The excitement would build as the bowl was passed around, each person eagerly waiting to see what flavors would greet them in their spoonful. The combination of textures and flavors made it feel like a celebration in every bite. Have you ever tried a traditional trifle or perhaps put your own twist on it? And if you think this dessert is lavish, wait until you see the next one. It's a delight that really took center stage in the 1970s. 15. Chocolate fondue. Do you remember the excitement of dipping strawberries, marshmallows, or cake into a pot of velvety, melted chocolate? In the 1970s, chocolate fondue wasn't just a dessert, it was an experience. Guests would gather around a communal pot, selecting their favorite dippables and immersing them in the rich, warm chocolate. This interactive dessert quickly became a favorite at upscale dinner parties and gatherings, where its luxurious ingredients and fun presentation made it a social event as much as a treat. I can still recall the anticipation of waiting for my turn to dip a juicy piece of pineapple into the pot, watching the chocolate cascade over it like a decadent waterfall. The versatility of the dipping options meant that everyone had their personal favorite, adding to the charm of the experience. What's your favorite fondue dipper? And if you thought chocolate fondue was the height of indulgence, stay tuned. There's one last dessert coming up that truly defined luxury in the 1970s. Can you guess what it might be? 16. Eclairs. Can you still taste the creamy filling of a perfectly baked eclair from an elegant soirée in the 1970s? These French pastries were a staple of upscale dessert tables, offering a harmonious blend of light choux pastry, rich cream or custard filling, and a smooth chocolate glaze. With their refined appearance and delicate flavors, eclairs symbolized sophistication and high culinary skill. The challenge of mastering the perfect eclair, from achieving the ideal crisp pastry shell to creating the silky filling, made them a favorite for formal events, where presentation mattered as much as taste. I vividly remember watching as trays of these beautiful eclairs were carried through a room, their chocolate-topped brilliance shimmering under the lights, just waiting to be devoured. Every bite felt like a luxurious indulgence, especially when paired with a fine cup of coffee. Did you ever get to enjoy one at a special event? And speaking of indulgence, our next dessert takes decadence to a whole new level. Stay with us for a surprise you won't want to miss. 17th, zabaglione. Can you recall the delicate sweetness of zabaglione, that luxurious Italian custard that seemed to melt in your mouth? In the 1970s, this dessert was a favorite among the wealthy, known for its simple yet elegant ingredients: egg yolks, sugar, and sweet wine, typically marsala. Whether served warm or chilled, zabaglione was often paired with fresh fruits or ladyfingers, making it both light and indulgent. The preparation of zabaglione was a performance in itself, watching a skilled chef whisk the ingredients over heat to create that perfectly airy texture felt like witnessing magic. I remember the soft, velvety texture of the custard, delicately infused with the sweetness of the wine, and how it complemented the fresh fruit it was served with. Did you ever try making zabaglione at home? Or was it always reserved for those special dinners? Hold on, because the next dessert might just rival zabaglione in complexity and richness. Stay with us for a surprise that will take you back to the most lavish tables of the 70s. 18. Viennese whirls. Do you remember the crumbly, melt-in-your-mouth sensation of biting into a Viennese whirl at an afternoon tea? These delicate butter cookies, originating from Austria, were a staple at high-end receptions and tea parties during the 1970s. With a filling of rich buttercream and a touch of jam, Viennese whirls offered the perfect balance of sweetness and texture. A dusting of powdered sugar completed the refined presentation, making them a hit at upscale gatherings. Their light, buttery texture made them irresistible, and I can still picture the way they crumbled with each bite. Viennese whirls were one of those desserts that were simple yet elegant, proving that sometimes less is more. Whether you enjoyed them with a cup of tea or as a small indulgence at a reception, they always left you wanting just one more. Did you ever try making these delicate treats? Or did you save them for special occasions? And just when you thought it couldn't get better, our next dessert will transport you even further back in time. Stay tuned. 19. Strawberry chiffon pie. Do you remember the sweet, airy delight of a strawberry chiffon pie at a summer garden party? In the 1970s, this dessert became a symbol of summertime luxury, its pastel pink hue and fluffy texture making it an eye-catching centerpiece. The delicate filling, made with gelatin and whipped cream, was perfectly set in a buttery crust, while the use of fresh strawberries gave it a refreshing, light flavor. I can still recall the sensation of biting into that cloud-like filling, the taste of ripe strawberries perfectly balanced with the creamy texture. Strawberry chiffon pie wasn't just a dessert, it was an experience, often served at elegant dinners or outdoor gatherings where you could savor every light, sweet bite. Did you ever get the chance to indulge in this lovely dessert at a summer event? If you think this is indulgent, wait until you see the next extravagant treat, one that truly dazzled the elite. 20. Opera cake. Did you ever indulge in a decadent slice of opera cake at an upscale event? In the 1970s, this multi-layered French dessert was a favorite among the wealthy, known for its complexity and elegance. Featuring layers of almond sponge cake soaked in coffee syrup, the opera cake alternated between silky coffee buttercream and rich chocolate ganache. Topped with a glossy chocolate glaze, and often adorned with gold leaf, it was a true symbol of luxury. The intricate flavors of coffee, almond, and chocolate created a harmonious blend that was both sophisticated and indulgent. I remember how a single bite could transport you to a world of gourmet refinement as the layers melted in your mouth. It wasn't just the taste, it was the artistry behind each slice that made opera cake stand out at private gatherings and high-end restaurants. Have you ever experienced the rich flavors of this iconic dessert? Did you enjoy this nostalgic trip? Hit like and subscribe, let us know in the comments, and stay tuned.